Welcome to Optimal Timelines. My name is Sean, and this is going to be your May 2025 tarot readings for your North Node by sign and house for the second half of May. Now, if you're new to my channel, the reason I use the North Node in tarot readings as opposed to your Sun, Moon, or Ascendant is that it's recognized in astrology your North Node is your North Star. It's what you're here to learn, accomplish, and master in this lifetime. So it's much more relevant to your everyday life and much more accurate in tarot readings. Now remember, you're going to want to watch two readings, one for your North Node by sign and one for your North Node by house. With that, I'm going to connect to the energies and we can begin. I call upon my spirit guides, guardians, and the wisdom of my ancestors to bring forth the information that's true and correct for all who see and hear this reading, that it may bring them the most beautiful, happy life possible and set them on their most optimal future timeline. So may it be. Okay, North Node in Aries and or the first house. Okay, interesting. So the theme card that popped out for you is the Queen of Wands. Now, this is your North Node card, or I should say one of them, because Wands rule all of the fire signs, being that, Aries and also the first house. And when I saw this card, what I was thinking was that the second half of May, there's going to be this big opportunity for you to step more into your power. But more than that, the other words that came into my mind was confidence and strength. Those words popped into me where, as you step into your power, especially, this confidence thing that's like coming into me right now. And there's going to be an opportunity to do that. Now let's look at your timeline cards and we're going to see how this is going to play out. So on your timeline here, you've got the Magician card reversed, and you've got the Wheel of Fortune upright, and then you've got the Page of Cups reversed. Now, before I get into these cards, I do want to touch on your advice cards because they're very relevant to right now what I'm about to talk about. So you've got the Seven of Swords upright, and you've got the Six of Swords upright. What's first coming to me right now is this Magician card reversed along with this King of Swords, Seven of Swords. What I'm seeing here right now is that this has a trickster energy to it. So I feel like for the second half of May, you're going to come across a situation, probably someone in your life, okay? It could be multiple people, but I'm feeling like the energy of like one person, where there's this energy of kind of like manipulation going on. Like it could be emotional and mental manipulation that is happening with this situation. And the difficult thing is that it may sound easy when we confront that, and sometimes it is, when we're out and about in the world, like at our workplace or whatever, or just out where we, are dealing with someone we don't know very well. When we feel that we're being kind of manipulated, it's easy to just kind of separate ourselves from that. But what I'm seeing here is that this is a person who you are connected to in some way. So, meaning that you just can't like walk away from it. So it could be someone in, intimate partnerships. It could be someone who's family, close friend, even a close work relationship or whatever. Maybe even a boss or a supervisor, but for each of you, it'll be different. And I feel like that there's emotional connection. So it could be someone trying to manipulate you on the emotional level and the mental level. And that's what these two cards are saying. The Seven of Swords here is saying that this is kind of like someone being like, this is a sneaky energy of like, I'm going to try to get away with something. I'm going to try to send something under the radar. Okay. Like some sort of a, comment or something that's like, of a mental nature and communication. And then again, the Magician reversed, one of the key things about this card is it could be like, like this trickster energy, like I was saying. Now, the positive thing about this is that what you're being asked to do is you're being asked to recognize it And this is giving you a chance to level up in your life. Okay, so you've got this Wheel of Fortune card here. And whenever you see the Wheel of Fortune upright in a reading, even sometimes, when it's reversed, because the wheel always wants to turn upright, even when it's reversed. But in this case, it's upright. This is a chance for you to recognize this and like level up. Now, what are you here to recognize? You're here to recognize the situation of what's happening to you, because some of you, there are people in our life sometimes when we're not aware we're being manipulated. Okay. Like even a lot of times this happens with children. Okay, you can see this where the parents, they don't understand what's happening. They're like, oh, my little Johnny, or my little Sally wouldn't do that or whatever, and they don't recognize that but children are very good at that sometimes. But again, we also might not recognize it because, let's say, it's coming from a parental figure, or someone else close in our life. A lot of times we don't recognize it. And so it's important that you recognize this, and this is the value in this. Now, when you recognize it, you're going to know, because you have to go with what you're feeling in your gut instincts. And see, this is the key for this, right? One of the things you're here to do in this lifetime with your North Node in Aries. Now, there's many things we're here to do with all of our North Nodes, but for you, one of the things is you have to honor your instincts, meaning that the instincts that are letting you know certain things, not your instincts for your South Node, but the instincts of, like, you recognize something hits you in your gut, something is hitting you on an emotional level, and you have to understand that and see what's happening. And so that's the first skill that this is bringing out, and how you can kind of level up, where you recognize what's happening with this person, and you're going to know, as I said, because you're going to feel it. The trick is not excusing it away. Oh, well, they didn't mean it, or I don't really need to address it right now in this moment in time. And so it's this instinctual energy. Now, the second part of this is standing in your power. So you have to take some sort of an action, meaning that, you have to kind of call them out on it in some way. So this is the tricky part, right? Where you have to maybe say, like, look, I told you that I couldn't do so and so. I couldn't do this thing for you. And so it's like, I'm sorry, but I have, again, this is your Aries North Node, or first house North Node, putting your needs as important. And the person might, one scenario is that they're like trying to, play the violin and, manipulate your emotions, or your, on a mental level, and you have to recognize that and, like, stand your ground. Okay. And so there's different layers to this. It's recognizing it, honoring your feelings, and then standing your ground. So it's like these three different things. Now, the other advice card is, what you're doing when you do this is you're not only stepping into this leveling up, where, you could literally change the fortune in your life, meaning that what I've noticed is when people begin to stand in their power and follow whatever their North Node is by sign and house, something very magical happens. It's like the universe rewards you for balancing out the imbalances that we all have within ourselves. And so by you standing in your power, you're going to level up, and you're going to get some sort of, you're going to feel the benefit in your life. But what this card is saying here with the Six of Swords is you're ultimately going to move away from friction in your life. You're going to have less friction in your life. You're going to have less conflict. You're going to feel freer. You're going to feel you're moving toward something that's positive. All of these feelings. Okay, this is part of it. Now, as I always say, it doesn't mean your life's perfect. As we're on our path and we're following our North Node, our life doesn't become perfect, but what it does is you can feel it's gradually getting better. And that's what this card is saying, is you're moving away from things that are of a more negative nature. So yeah, the second half of May, it's really important. Recognize who this is, who's trying to manipulate you or talk you into something, or, emotionally, kind of overwhelm you, and also mentally, and recognize it and then stand your ground. And it doesn't mean that this person, it has to be a big thing. Sometimes it is. Standing in your power is the difficult thing, because a lot of times they're not going to take that very, very well, but you just have to stay strong. And that's part of this whole thing of kind of stepping into your power. And again, the big payoff for you is you're going to get this boost in confidence and boost in strength for you when you do this whole thing. So anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like your chart analyzed, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. Thanks much. We'll talk soon. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Taurus and or the second house. Okay, interesting. The theme card that popped out for you is the reversed Empress card. And this is one of the cards that, does rule Taurus, because you can see here, the Empress is sitting in this like lush field with, fine attire on, and this like wheat field of abundance. And then you have the sigil here of the planet Venus, which is, the ruler of Taurus. And so what I'm feeling like here is that for you, North Nodes in Taurus or the second house, the second half of May is something about you in some way or ways, multiple ways, finding your value. I feel like that's a big thing that's coming on. You're going to have this realization, because a lot of you don't understand the value that you really bring to the world around you, to your, inner circle, to your family, to your friends, to work and all of that. Sometimes that gets lost, and that's something you see whenever, you look at the polarity of, Taurus, Scorpio polarity, or the second house and the eighth house. It's all about like value, right? And what it is you value. But in this case, I feel like there's something where a lot of you are beginning to learn, and I feel you're going to get some feedback of realizing the value that you bring to your life and to others around you. And I think that that's something that's big. This is changing. I feel like this is developing in you more and more, and you're seeing this is part of you stepping into this power of, your North Node in Taurus and or the second house, where you're really feeling and understanding what it is you bring to the table in your life. And I feel like the second half of May, this is what's happening. Now, your timeline cards, to get more clarity, you've got the Death card reversed, you've got the Eight of Wands upright, and you've got the Hanged Man upright. Now, the Death card, we'll start with that. Now, obviously, I always say in my channel, the Death card does not mean, actual death, okay? Especially, the readings are based on what the question that's asked. Just like the Devil card doesn't mean an actual demon or the devil, right? But what this means is this is about transformation. Because in order for us to change, the old part of ourselves has to die. Whenever we change something within us or in our life, the old way of being has to go away, okay? And so what's happening here when it's reversed is there's been this long kind of standing thing where a lot of you have struggled with, self-love and self-worth, okay? It's been this like lifelong struggle of like, you have confidence on one hand, but then also deep down late at night, sometimes you don't feel valued or have this like self-love or confidence, and it kind of goes back and forth, okay? It's something that a lot of times you see with this North Node that people struggle with, okay? So but that's changing. This is happening, and it's evolving, and what you're beginning to see is I think you're going to get feedback from the world around you in different ways of what it is you bring to the table, as I said, as far as value goes. Now, you have the Eight of Wands upright. So this is a card of moving forward. You're moving past this stagnation. It doesn't mean that you're going to be maybe 100% for the rest of your life fully confident, okay, and have self-love at all time. But I feel like this is turning a corner for you. And so this is something where the second half of May, a lot of you are stepping into this next level. And as I said, it doesn't mean it's going to be perfectly smooth sailing for the rest of your life, but it's a big shift, okay? So you're moving forward in a positive direction. And part of this is, as I was saying, with the perspective, you can see the Hangman here, it's a realization that you're having. A lot of you have been trying to find your self-esteem, your value, your confidence in things that you're doing. Like, if I just do more at work, if I just do more for this person or these people, if I accomplish this goal, whatever you do, I'm going to get that self-love and I'm going to feel that self thing. You're looking in order to do things in order to get that. But you can see the Hangman here. The reason the Hangman is upside down with hands tied behind his back and hanging from a tree is because he's not doing anything to get this illumination around his head. He didn't get this realization that he has with this illumination around his head. He didn't get that by doing something, by getting a degree, by getting a promotion, by making more money, by showing more love and affection to people. That he didn't get that. He got it because he finally realized something. And in this case, what you're realizing is you're realizing the value you bring to the table. That's one of the big things in this life, is bringing. And I've done like many readings for people that have Taurus North nodes or in the second house. And that's one of the big things that they're learning in life, is that they don't realize the value that they bring to their life and to others. Okay. So that's something that's happening. Now, your two advice cards are, you've got the Eight of Pentacles reversed, and you've got the Five of Wands reversed. So the Eight of Pentacles is saying this. Again, we were talking about work. Now, this reading for a lot of you might have a lot to do with work. Maybe, for some of you, it's like getting more, pats on the back or accolades, from people at work, or promotions and all of that. And you could be recognized and valued that way. For others, it's going to be, a lot of you, it's going to be a more personal type thing. But the reason that this Eight of Pentacles, this work related card, came up is that you, again, like I was saying before, you're realizing that you don't have to do something in life in order to get this. This is something that has to come from within. And if you pay attention to certain people in your life, now not everyone is going to recognize our own worth, okay? That's true. But if you really pay attention and you stop trying to get this, admiration or this self-esteem from somewhere else, if you just pay attention to certain relationships you have in your life, you're going to find that they're letting you know that you're important, and I feel like this realization is going to be huge, just in subtle things they say, like, just, it could be a look or a hug or just like a sincere thank you, okay? But I feel like, this is something that you don't have to work for, is what I'm saying. And then with this Five of Wands reversed, I feel like for a lot of you, this is going to happen because it could come out of some sort of a conflict that you've had and recovered from. Could be with someone or different people. So this realization, a lot of times we have realizations in life based on something that was kind of stressful or cataclysmic that happens, some kind of a thing that happens, and it gives us this kind of new awakening and opening. So some of you are going to realize that it's coming from that. It's going to be like you're going to realize that the value you have, possibly because the other party is going to be forced to say how much they appreciate you, okay? But the other thing that this is saying is, not only could it come from conflict, but it's also saying that this inner conflict that you've been struggling with of self-love and self-value is going to start to move away. Like this inner conflict is going to start to melt within you, and that's allowing this to happen. So anyway, I hope this reading was valuable to you and you found some good things in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Gemini and or the third house. Okay, interesting. So the theme card that popped out for you is the reversed Two of Wands. And when I saw this card, I was like, this is really telling me that what's happening the second half of May is you're going to have some realization about something within your life and your world. Like there's going to be a viewpoint change, realizing something that you have been missing regarding, you know, something in your life. Okay. For some of you, it could be like work related. A lot of you, it's going to be like personal relationships, but somewhere in your life, you're having this kind of like realization, something that you didn't see before. It's almost like I'm getting the feeling like you're, when we finally see something that was there the whole time, we've all had this experience where we're like, why didn't I see that before? You know, like it was right there. And we've all had that experience. And I feel like that's something that is, you know, kind of coming to light. It's like now, when you have this realization, it's going to be like this aha moment, something in your life where you didn't see it and you're like going to say, well, why didn't I see it? The reason you didn't see it is because of some distractions in your life, or it was almost like not seeing the full picture or not looking at the situation in different ways, like you were seeing it one way. Like one example I give from time to time is like when you see this card, you're like, well, what is the shape of this card? And you're like, okay, well, it's like a rectangle, right? Well, now what is the shape of the card? You know, when you're looking at it this way. And so a lot of times what we miss things in our life because we don't look at them from multiple angles. And I feel like that's what this is. Now we'll get some more clarity. We'll look at your timeline card. So you've got the Hermit card reversed. You've got the Knight of Pentacles upright, and you've got the Ten of Swords upright. So starting with the Hermit card reversed, this is part of this thing where it's the reason that you are going to have this realization. It's could be multiple areas of your life, but at least one area is because of you weren't seeing things, as I said, from multiple angles. You were just seeing a situation or a person or whatever it was from one angle. Okay. And I feel like that is going to change. And the change is actually going to be positive because it's like with this Hermit card reversed, when the Hermit card goes upright, it's like the taking in of wisdom. So you're going to see this thing, and it's not only are you going to see it, but it's going to give you the information that you need in order to make like wise choices. So it's like you get this new information, you realize, well, okay, why didn't I see that? And then you're able to kind of act on it. Now, the Knight of Pentacles, all of the Knight cards are cards of movement. You know, anytime you see a horse in the tarot deck, especially for the Knights, they're cards of movement. Now, the Knight is a slower card. It's probably the slowest of all Knights. But the positive thing of this is what this is doing when you have this realization is it's stabilizing your life. It's stabilizing your movement forward. It's almost like the feeling I get is like there could have been a lot of chaos recently in your life, or very kind of haphazard moving and what was going on and how things were moving forward. And I see now kind of steady movement and progress forward. Now, part of this here is, you know, you have the Ten of Swords here. Okay. Now, this is a card, you know, it looks scary and it looks, you know, ominous. Okay. But it really is positive because this is essentially what I'm seeing is this is the end of a way of thinking and being in your life. Because this, when you have this realization, it could be something you realize within yourself, like this aha moment, like when we learn something new about ourselves. And I hope all of us have had that experience. I think we all have kind of learned something new, whatever that is, positive, negative. It is ultimately positive because we're learning more about ourselves and our life. It could be that, or it could be learning something more about a relationship or whatever. But when we do that, what I'm thinking here, when we do that is it's giving you this new perspective in thinking. It's like one way of thinking is going away. That's ending. And it had to, sometimes it happens in a very dramatic way, okay? We learn something and it has this dramatic effect. But this card doesn't necessarily mean something negative all the time, okay? It means that, for me, when I see the swords, it's a way of thinking. It's a way of communicating too. So I feel like that's part of this. And the 10 of Swords is always saying, just like, the number 10 in numerology, is it comes when we go to its lowest common form, it goes back to 1. Okay, so the 10 is referring to 1 and it's going back. So there's like this, whenever you see a 10, it's like going to be reborn. Everything builds up from 9 to 10, culmination, and then we go back again, okay, and we build up. So after the 10 happens, we go back, okay, and so this is like a reset button for you. Now, the advice cards are interesting. You've got the Queen of Cups reversed, and you've got the 10 of Cups reversed. Again, another 10 here. I feel like for a lot of you, this is going to be somewhere in your personal life with, there's going to be a realization and a change within personal relationships of some sort, okay? And it is a positive thing. However, one of the things that's going to happen is you could be dealing with somebody who is highly emotional, okay? And the emotions could be a difficult thing to deal with. You're going to have to kind of see past that. But the emotions are going to tell you something. That's part of seeing this in a new way. It's kind of like the feeling I get is like, I think we've all had this experience where we're dealing with someone in our life, okay? Maybe someone that we know really well. And I feel like that's what this is, where, you know them, right? And all of a sudden, something happens and it's very dramatic, and you see them and the situation in a new light. It could be something that they say or do, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I never really saw that before. And that's kind of what this is. It's like stepping away slightly. The situation is going to allow you to see the situation and them in a new light. And ultimately, even though it could be a little challenging, it's going to, be a positive, because it's going to, when you have this new information that comes in, it's going to give you this whole new perspective. And as I said, you're going to move forward in a much more positive and steady fashion. It could happen within, family relationships, as I said, intimate partnerships, even in work for some of you, friendships and all of that. But as I said, this is a very positive thing, because what this is doing is ultimately it's having you head toward your Gemini North Node, or third house, which is seeing your world always from multiple angles and multiple perspectives, okay? That's always going to be a benefit to you. And then this other card here is the 10 of Cups reversed. Is, I feel like this could be a game changer where, this could change this relationship for you for a positive. For some of you, yeah, it may be a little bit kind of hard to take and all of that. But I feel like ultimately it's going to transform the relationship. But the other thing I'm feeling with this is it's a dropping of illusions. A lot of times when we have situations in our life, we have, we see things, we see what we want to see. Okay, we see the illusion of something, okay, because we build it up, we build up this like myth in our mind of how the situation is and how the relationship is. And so I feel like this is a very, what you have to deal with is it's kind of like myth busting in your mind. And it's like you're going to, look at something, and it's sometimes hard to take, when that bubble bursts and the myth of what we thought was there, even though it's tough to take, it's positive, because then we can move on from there, because we're seeing reality for what it really is. We're seeing the truth, you know? And so it is, you know, even though it's difficult, it is positive, but it's not easy all the time to when our ideals and our myths, you know, kind of bust. But ultimately, as I said, you're going to see after the dust settles from all this, you're going to feel and see the positivity in it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found some value in this reading. If you'd like a personal tarot reading, or if you'd like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Cancer and or the 4th house. Okay, interesting. So the theme card that popped out for you is the 3 of Wands upright. One of the meanings of this card is looking too much sometimes toward the future and not really seeing what's going on, because it's one of the few cards in the tarot deck that the person has their back to the card, so they're facing away, you know, from our viewpoint. And so a lot of times this card is telling us, you know, what aren't we seeing now? Are we looking too much in other places and not kind of seeing what's going on right now? And that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from this. Is it's not even so much looking at the future necessarily, but it's like looking at other things and what is behind you, like what is happening, because whatever is right next to us or behind us is, you know, not necessarily the past, but sometimes it's the present moment, because we're looking out, right? But for some of you, it could be like things that you like realizing something about the past, but it has to do with the past and the present, and or the present, okay, where it could be something that you're not seeing in the present moment. Now I feel like it has to do with relationships, and we're going to get some more clarity. We'll look at your timeline cards here on the spread. So you've got the 3 of Pentacles upright, you've got the 4 of Wands reversed, and you've got the 3 of Swords reversed. Now with this 3 of Pentacles here, you know, yes, a lot of times this card is about, you know, work. You can see that there's a craftsman here being observed by other people, okay? So, but in this case, we're not really talking about, for some of you maybe, but I don't think it has to do with your actual work or career. What I'm feeling like is this has to do with personal relationships, but how could this card relate to that, okay? Well, it's like, when we are observed by those who are close to us in how we are conducting, how we are working within a relationship, okay, we're being observed by others. How are we doing in that? Are we building something, or are we building something that is positive or free, or are we building something that's negative, right? So this is an observation. And I feel like what's happening here is that there's something that, you know, you have to see in your life, in a relationship. I don't feel like this is you. I feel like, you know, you're not being the one that is being observed. I feel like you are the observer. So you're having to see something. Again, the reason is keeping this theme of perspective of where you're looking. Now, a lot of you haven't really noticed this thing in your life, in this relationship, because of, it could be distractions, and this where it could be too busy on thinking about the future and work and career and all of that, and you're not seeing that, okay? But what's going to happen the second half of May is you are going to start to see something that you're going to want to pay attention to. And I feel like it has, for some of you, things that have to do with the past. So it could be a realization of something that has happened in the past, in a past relationship. For others, it's something that's happening kind of right now. And it could be a real game changer in the fact that when you see this new angle of this relationship, I feel like there's healing that's gonna happen from this, okay? Even though it could be difficult to kind of have that realization, there's going to be some healing that comes from it. Now, these two other timeline cards, we're going to take them together. You've got the Four of Wands reverse, and you've got the Three of Swords. So the reason I say healing is because, you have the Three of Swords. The Three of Swords, when it's reversed, is positive. It means that, the emotional wounding has happened, and that we're able to kind of move on from that. So I think that this is going to have, when you have this realization about your relationship, where you see things for how they really are, and you're going to have this kind of like heart opening, and then there's a healing that goes along with that. Now, the Four of Wands is interesting because, four is a number of stability. And sometimes things in our life can get so stable, or we get comfortable, because like the four corners of a table are very stable. Four corners of a house or a cube are very stable. And when you take off, like on a table of like four legs, you take off one leg, it becomes very unstable. But this is happening because it's getting you to see this relationship, or relationships for some of you, at a deeper level, to pay attention. And because, as I said, a lot of you could have been distracted, or had your viewpoint pointed somewhere else. And so it's getting you to, when this happens, to understand what's going on. Now, for a lot of you, it could be that, you are going to have this realization that this other person is or was hurt in some way. Okay, so that's something that's also coming in for me with this, where they, you finally found out that maybe something you did or said, kind of hurt them, and that's getting you to see the situation in a different way, and you're seeing like, maybe I could have done or said something, different. So for some of you, it's going to be that, but ultimately what I'm seeing is there's healing that's coming from this, even though sometimes things have to get a little unstable in our life for us to make changes and see what's going on. If everything is perfectly stable at all the times, there's no need for change. We're not going to change. We're just going to keep going on and on. So it has to happen. And I feel like this is a huge breakthrough in this relationship for you. Now, your two advice cards are, you've got the Knight of Wands reversed, and you've got the Ten of Cups reversed. And so the Ten of Cups is saying, like, look, even though it could have this feeling of destabilizing this relationship in the short term, it's going to feel that way. What's going to happen is it's going to strengthen it. It's going to stabilize it in the long run, especially if you can handle it in the correct way, which is, sometimes the intensity of a situation could have us detach and kind of back away from it, right? And so what you want to do is you want to engage with the situation and realize that ultimately this is going to be positive. And the way it's positive is you just have to move through it, and you have to kind of see it for what it is. If this is you and another person, kind of, talk it out, see where they're coming from. But emotionally, it could feel really weird, especially with your North Node, okay? Because a lot of times, people with North Node in Cancer and or the fourth house, they're not super comfortable with intense emotions. But it's one of the things in this lifetime for you is to really get comfortable with that. So just know it could get uncomfortable, but part of this is the healing process, right? Now, the other thing about this Knight of Wands is, I feel like one of the things that you have to deal with in this situation, whether it's from a past situation that has happened or something that does come up, there could be this feeling of like impulsiveness that's coming from the other person, where there's a warning for you not to get triggered in this, but to move through it, to see it for what it is, and to really tap into the innate emotional intelligence that you all have. Whether you know it or not, you have the gift of emotional intelligence and seeing things, and the gift of understanding. This is part of the gift of having a North Node in Cancer and or the fourth house. Okay, so it's part of your gift, even if you haven't tapped into it. Some people are learning to tap into that, and part of that emotional intelligence is when we don't allow ourselves to get triggered by other people's words, actions, emotions, okay? We can feel them, and I feel like this situation is you're going to have an emotional hit that's going to come in. But here's a pro tip, okay? A pro tip to dealing with sticky emotional situations. What most people, their instinct, and what even sometimes people say is just ignore it or don't feel it. That's what, like, a lot of times parents used to tell kids in school, maybe they still do, or it's like a bully's bullying you, like just ignore it, right? Like that really works, right? So you don't want to ignore feelings or block them, okay? But at the same time, you don't want to get completely absorbed in them, and then you get triggered, and then it becomes, it's like throwing, gasoline on a flame, okay? You don't want to do that. So what you do is, here's the pro tip, is the feeling comes into you, you feel it and say, okay, I feel a certain way. And then you allow it to move through you. You don't allow it to be this trigger point for you. You just allow it to come in, you recognize it, and you have to process it. And it might linger there for a while, but you don't want it to allow you to trigger you. And I feel like that's the big thing of this thing, is that you don't want to do that, because it's not going to really, benefit you. But at the end of this, what I'm seeing is, I feel like for most of you, through this situation, there's going to be healing that comes from it. And you're going to be able, both parties are going to be able to kind of, move on in a positive way. Okay. So this is about you recognizing what's going on here, and kind of applying this in the here and now, and realizing that, wow, maybe my focus, was elsewhere. That's why I didn't see this situation for what it was, because I was too focused on something else, whatever it was. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Leo and or the 5th house. Okay, interesting. So the theme card that popped out is the reversed 6 of Swords. And this card is a card of, when it's upright, moving away mentally and even physically from situations that aren't great, or like troubles, or some sort of, could be conflicts, moving away from that, okay? But when it's reversed, the boat is like going around in circles, or it's going off course. And what I feel like for the second half of May is that a lot of you are dealing with some aspect in your life that feels like to you that it's not going in the correct direction, or it seems off course in some way. You could feel like you're spinning your wheels. That's, one thing, or, going around in circles, but it's not headed in the proper direction. And when that happens, we've all experienced that at different times in our life, and it doesn't feel great when we just feel like some area of our life is just not moving like we would like. So it's like, what do we need to do in order to get it moving? So we're trying to move away from something that isn't great, and we don't know how to do it. Okay, so that's kind of the energy that I'm feeling like that's going on. Now, your timeline cards, you've got the Justice card reversed, you've got the Page of Pentacles upright, and you've got the Queen of Pentacles reversed. So the Justice card is interesting here, because the reason that this is happening, okay, and this is probably one of the keys to the reading here, is there is a truth about this situation, or a truth about your life, that you haven't realized yet. Like, you're not seeing it for what it is, or you haven't judged it correctly, okay? Because when you see the Justice card here, you see like the judge on this throne is holding the sword of truth, okay? And also the scales of balance, which is weighing things out. Because what does a judge do? A good judge has to, like, look at something, all the angles of something, and make a proper decision as what is the truth in things. And it's easier said than done. I mean, it's not easy a thing to do for any of us, but we have to do this in our life sometimes, where we have to see the truth in something. And a lot of times we don't see the full truth. We'll see partial truth, and then we'll act on it, and we'll realize, okay, that what didn't work. Okay. And so, like, this is what is happening the second half of May is you're looking at a situation or situations in your life, and you, in order to move forward in a positive direction, you have to see it and judge it for what it truly is. And I feel like that's how it's going to play out. Now, how are you going to do that? Well, first of all, you've got this, the Page of Pentacles here, right? So, this is, he's holding these pentacles, which is something of value, a physical thing of value, right? And he's holding it and he's observing it. He doesn't have it to the side, he doesn't have it in his backpack. He doesn't lay it on the table. He's holding it with both hands and observing it and seeing it for what it is, okay? And he's able to see the good and the bad, everything. He's seeing the reality of it. And the positive thing is that this is what I think is happening for you. You're seeing some situation or situations in your life for what they are, and it's going to allow you to move forward in a positive direction. You're going to feel like you're not stuck. You're not spinning your wheels. You're going to feel like you're making movement forward. But the step is seeing it for what it is. Now, the Queen of Pentacles reversed is saying, I feel like this is an actual person in your life, because all of the court cards, we call them, the king, queen, knight, and pages, can be energies in situations, or they can be actual people. I feel like this is referring to an actual person. Not necessarily a female, because the court cards are not, sex or gender specific. They are just, different flavors of that energy. So the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles are just different flavors of a kind of a similar energy. So I feel like this is talking about an actual person. And I feel like you are seeing the situation with this person in a new way. And maybe the situation has been stuck or stagnant. This person might even not even know that it's stuck. Okay. Sometimes that, and I don't feel like this person is necessarily negative in your life. For a lot of you, it's someone that's positive, but it's like we all can get into relationships where we get stuck in patterns, and we don't know, because we don't know which way to get out, because we're kind of making the same old choices. So I feel like you're going to be able to see this situation in kind of a new light and a new perspective. And I feel like this person is going to play part in it. It's almost like they might not realize that there's an issue that needs to kind of be corrected, but I feel like it's like a joint thing where you're like, yeah, like, let's move on from this. Sometimes it's just like a heart-to-heart conversation. Could be, an intimate partnership, friendship, family, something like, or even a work relationship, even with your job and a supervisor, having a heart-to-heart and seeing things. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, we cleared that up. We cleared the way. Now we can kind of move forward. We're moving out of stagnation. So I do feel like this is an actual person that you're going to have this with. And when you clear it up, it's going to make the situation a lot better. Now, your two advice cards are, you've got the Sun card reversed, and you've got the 10 of Wands reversed. The reason I'm so positive about this reading is because one of the reasons is this Sun card. The Sun card is one of those cards that's positive even in its reversed state. But what it is I always like to explain, it's like when you're outdoors during the daytime on a sunny day, when the cloud cover comes over and clouds the sun and it gets all dark and a little cold. Well, the sun is still there behind the clouds. It didn't go away. That beautiful sunshine is still there, but it's being obscured or blocked in some way, okay? And so once the cloud cover moves away, okay, or we have a realization in our life and it moves away and we're seeing things clearly, the sun is right there. So there's a positive to this, and it's just something where it's an aspect that you haven't seen that you're going to have this realization about. Now, the 10 of Wands here reversed is also positive. It's like one of the things you want to do is you're going to know that you're in the right position. You're going to know you're making the right moves and choices in this situation. Is afterwards, after you've had that talk or you've done the thing, had some communication, whatever it is, if you feel less burdened afterwards, that's the clue. This is the thing I always teach to all my clients and in readings is, how do we know when we're on the right track? A lot of times it's how we feel. Do we feel mentally more clear? Do we feel physically better? Do we feel unburdened? Do our emotions feel better? Because that's what's so confusing is we've been taught in this modern world not to really like tap in to our bodies, and our we'll call them our animal instincts, right? And so a lot of times we'll leave a conversation and it's like we think mentally, oh, okay, yeah, I guess everything's okay, right? But then when we check in with ourselves, we're like, it doesn't feel right, right? We've all had that, okay? And that's what I'm talking about is when you're going to know this situation is on the right track when after you feel that it's done, if you feel less burdened. If you feel burdens are being lifted off of you, that's your clue. Okay, that's how you're going to know. But yeah, ultimately it's a positive thing. This is just something where this is going to help you get unstuck. So that's what this second half of May is you getting unstuck in some situation or situations in your life. And so it is a positive thing. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you again on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Virgo and or the 6th house. Okay, interesting. So the theme card that popped out for you is the Lover's card upright. And, obviously, this card is talking about a lot of times, intimate partnerships, okay? But the Lover's card is more than that. It's about our relationship with ourselves, okay? About self-love. No one can say that, the only important love in our lives is the love that we are receiving from other people. It's also like self-love. It can also not necessarily mean intimate partnerships. This could mean our relationship with a job or career or even other kind of partnerships. Okay, but for a lot of you it's going to be in an intimate partnership or something that has to do with a past partnership. Okay, but this is a positive thing. Where it's heading is there's a truth that wants to come out regarding this, and I see this a lot, which is interesting this month. A lot of like I guess it has to do with this Scorpio full moon, is we're seeing a lot of things being uncovered, hidden things within people's lives that are being uncovered, which is positive. Okay, it's ultimately a positive thing. So I just feel like there's some truth that wants to come out regarding some like relationship or relationships in your life. Now the timeline cards, you've got the Page of Wands reversed, you've got the Four of Wands reversed, and you've got the Justice card reversed. So we'll start with the Justice card here. This is coming up a lot this month, okay? And this is about, what does the judge do? The judge is trying to find the truth in things, so justice can be applied, right? So the judge is holding the sword of truth and the scales of balance and weighing things out. And one of the things about this situation for the second half of May is you're being asked to see the truth in a certain situation in order to heal it. Okay, now that situation could be something that is regarding an intimate partnership. It could be something for some of you, even like something to do with a young person in your life, like possibly a child. And when I say child, it could be like an older child, okay? But for some of you, it's, as I said, it's going to be an intimate partnership. The other thing that this is saying is that the truth of the situation is going to come about because of this Page of Wands. There's an energy there. Wands are about energy, and there's an energy in the situation that has not felt right for a while. Okay. And that's the big clue. That's why you know that there's something that needs to be changed and transformed, because you can feel that the energy is slightly off in this situation, whatever situation this is for you. And when you recognize the energy is off, that's going to give you like that first clue. Now, this is something that's really important, because with your North Node in Virgo and or the 6th house, remember, you have a lot of gifts from your South Node in Pisces or the 12th house, and a lot of intuitive gifts, but they have to be brought into practical value in this lifetime. And this is one of the applications of a practical value, is like, this is instinctually or intuitively knowing or picking up on the energy of things. I think it's psychometry is where, people can touch objects and they, pick up energy and information from them. Okay. And they're reading the energy. And I feel like one of the gifts you have is you have the ability to read energy. So I feel like that's what you're going to see, is you're going to be able to make the proper adjustments in this situation in your life or relationship, because you're reading the energy correctly, and you want to listen to that. And see, that's a very practical skill that you're bringing in from your South Node, by sign and house. You're bringing in this skill of being able to read this energy properly. Now, your two advice cards are, you've got the 6 of Wands reversed, and you've got the King of Wands reversed. Okay. The reason that this is happening with this second half of May and with this relationship is this is keeping you, when you don't tap into these gifts and you're not recognizing the energy in situations, it's keeping you from the life you're trying to achieve. And I feel like with this 6 of Wands here, you're going to be able to take this information and it's going to put you to a better place, because the 6 of Wands is always wanting to go upright and go forward. Okay, because all of the cards that have horses on them are cards of movement. Okay, so the horse always wants to go upright and move in the proper direction, and wants to move in a strong direction. So what's going to happen here is that when you are picking up the energy of this situation and reading it properly, it's going to give you this area of kind of newfound, power, self-esteem, all of that. And the reason I'm saying that too is you have this King of Wands here reversed. This is part of you stepping into your power. Okay. Even though the Wands, it doesn't rule your North Node or your South Node. This is about, the Wands are about energy, but it's about a skill set that you can use and move forward to. Remember, you have the ability to read energy in situations, read the energy behind words, read the energy behind situations, and pick up on that. And that's going to give you the proper, decision-making process as this judge, to see the truth in situations, to see the truth in different relationships. So picking up that energy is really going to help you to kind of basically level up and step more into your power. So yeah, the second half of May, look at these situations in your life and ask yourself, what am I picking up energetically from this? Okay. And don't worry about what you're picking up. Just take it in and try to be truthful about what's going on there. And then you can make the proper decisions. It's not going to be easy, because a lot of times, when you have a lot of overload that comes in with, information, and it can, don't let it overload you. Just take it in and just analyze it in the most kind of calm and steady way you can, just like much like your Virgo North Node. Just focus in on it and analyze it like a scientist. Okay, what am I picking up energetically? And that's going to give you a lot of information. But ultimately, with this Lover's upright, it didn't come reversed. This is going to help this situation in your life. There's healing and there's help with this. But this is something that, you need to pick up on, because you're going to get a lot of information from the energy and situations and relationships around you. So yeah, anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like to show the channel some love, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. See you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Libra and or the 7th house. Okay, interesting. So the theme card that popped out for you is the Three of Swords. And Three of Swords, yes, it has to do with, possibly like, emotional hurts that come in, emotional wounds. Um and I feel like, but this is of a nature of that is communication. So I feel like the second half of May, there's going to be a situation where there's some communication that happens within your life from you, from another person, and possibly like, other people, depending on your situation, where there's going to be some emotional wounding when it comes to communication. There's a reason for that, because it's getting you to find new ways to solve issues, solving issues in new ways, as opposed to ways maybe that you're used to kind of, solving things. Okay. So that's why sometimes things come up in our life, because I always say this, when we look at like relationships, for example, I use the actual like analogy that they're like real ships, where a relationship is only as good as it can weather storms. So an actual ship might look all great. It's just kind of sitting at dock or just kind of in the bay, but can it weather storms? That's only quality ships can actually get through storms. Or does it, wind up on the rocks or whatever? Now, this can be, any sort of relationship, like, romantic partnership. It could be friends, family, even a work relationship. So there's a testing that goes on, but this communication that comes in, I feel like it has the opportunity to trigger you, but it's the way you handle it afterwards that is going to be like the real kind of test. Now let's look at your timeline cards. We'll get some more clarity. So you've got the Hanged Man upright. You've got the Knight of Pentacles upright, and you've got the Five of Cups reversed. So starting with the Hanged Man here, the hangman is seeing a situation in a new way, but in particular, it's not acting on something without first understanding it. The reason I say that is because if you observe the hangman card, the person is hung upside down by one foot, the other foot's tied behind, the other leg. Both hands are tied behind the back. Okay. So obviously the person cannot really move, they can't take action. So you're supposed to, see the situation, go through it, and not take impulsive action. Because remember, with your North Node in Libra or the 7th house, you have that South Node in, Aries of the 1st house, which some of the problems that happen is being too impulsive or taking action too quickly, right? So this is saying, like, when a situation happens, it's giving the opportunity to, like, even though it has the ability to trigger you, not to allow it to trigger you right away, but to look deeper into the situation, okay? And that's what this illumination over the head of the hangman is. Now, it's going into this Knight of Pentacles. Now, all of the Knight cards are cards of movement, right? So all of the cards with horses on them are cards that are moving forward or moving in a certain direction. And what this has the ability to do is gaining this skill of not allowing things to trigger you is moving you forward in your life in a positive direction. It's moving you in a steady, positive direction, okay? So when this communication comes in, it's okay to feel our feels, but this is saying, wait for more information, don't react right away, don't get triggered too quickly, and kind of investigate more and move forward steadily and with caution, and it's going to help you move forward, generally in your life. Now, we'll get some more clarity as we get into your advice cards, but where it's ending up is this Five of Cups here. Now, all of the 5 cards are cards of change and challenge, but when they're reversed, they're actually in their positive state. So what this is saying is the real test for you is, can you go through some sort of a conflict? Now, for some of you, it's going to be just minor things. For others, it might be a little bit more than minor things, okay? But can you get through it without, getting too triggered? Because it's like, when you have that Aries south node or south node in the first house, it could be very triggering where, sometimes, someone steps out of line or says something wrong, and it's like all of a sudden, like, you could be, throwing kind of gasoline on a flame or something. And so you want to make sure that doesn't happen. That's what this is saying. But the 5 of Cups is saying, when you go through something, it's okay to feel something and not allow it to get out of hand, because you can move past it. Because if you see the 5 of Cups here, there are 3 cups that are spilled. That's the issue. Okay, something happened emotionally. Cups are all about emotion, right? So something happened. These cups are spilled. But if you notice behind this person, even though they're wounded, there are 2 cups that are still standing. So what this indicates is that it's not like all 5 cups were completely destroyed and knocked over, right? It's saying that this situation was, even though it's something that, is serious and needs attention, it doesn't necessarily mean it's kind of like the end of the world thing. And there is life after this, and especially in the way you handle it. Now, the way you handle it is going to be kind of shown in this these 2 advice cards. So you've got the Temperance card and you've got the Emperor card reversed. So Temperance, what this is saying is that really what's going on here with this second half of May is, this is about you gaining the ability to refine a part of yourself, meaning having the ability to allow yourself to have the strength, because this is really what you're doing in this lifetime. You're learning to be the strong warrior, but beyond strength is the strength of being able to solve conflicts, to be the peacemaker, to be the one that can go beyond just, typical kind of like strength type things that we normally think of with strength. So this is like this internal alchemy that's going on, where you have the ability to like feel your feelings. Yes, you feel things, and but not allowing yourself to get triggered to the point where you are just going with the impulse of what it is you feel in that moment, type of a thing. Okay. And that's a huge skill to learn. That's one of the big lessons for North Nodes in Libra or the 7th house, is to have the strength of being the peaceful warrior, where you seek compromise and peace. The thing that's difficult about that is because it can feel like weakness. It can feel like if you don't act, it's almost like this feeling is like, if I don't act and I don't do this, it just feels weird and I don't feel strong. But actually, it takes much more strength to be the peacemaker, to be the person that can compromise, to be the person that is able to rise above a conflict. It takes way more strength than to actually like just feed into the basic warrior type of actions. And so that's really what you're learning. And then with this Emperor card reversed, if you look at this card carefully, there are 2 rams on the throne here. And so one of the, zodiac signs that this rules is the sign of Aries, okay, the ram, and also the first house. And so this is saying that, you know, going along with what I said is that even though the biggest challenge for people that have a north node in Libra or the seventh house is to not let themselves feel weak because they give in, because they say they're sorry, because they have show understanding. That is the biggest challenge, because as I said, it could feel like you're being weak, but in actuality, you're actually, you know, proving your strength. Now, when you do this, there's a huge payoff for this. Okay, so this is one of those things that is like kind of like the skill building, and that's what this temperance card is showing, is that it's showing that this is that beautiful like inner alchemy, this learning that's going on as you go on your path. And once you do this a couple of times, or even after you do it the first time, you're going to feel good about yourself. You're going to see that there is a strength in doing what is not typical warrior type moves, right? So yeah, take this opportunity and really, really go with it, because it could really like level up your life, especially with this Knight of Pentacles. Is showing that it could bring you to a way better place in your life. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. See you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Scorpio and or the 8th house. Okay, interesting. So the theme card that popped out for you is the Queen of Pentacles. And when I saw this card, I immediately knew what it was talking about. It's talking about your south node in Taurus and or the second house, you know, which is ruled by Taurus. And that's one of the zodiac signs that this Queen of Pentacles rules, all of the earth signs, but especially like Taurus and or the second house. And what I feel like is the second half of May, there's going to be a situation, and I feel it has to do with some sort of a partnership, friendship, or relationship, okay? So friend, family, you know, work, or intimate partnership, where your south node is actually going to be helping you into doing this. And this is one of the rare times where we can tap into the gifts of our south node, because we do have gifts there. Even though we're learning and we're trying to master our north node, there are gifts there, and occasionally we have to kind of tap into that. So what this is saying is that this is going to be one of those times. Now let's look at your timeline cards. We'll get some more clarity. So you've got the Lovers card reversed. You've got the Judgment card upright. And you've got the Hierophant upright. Now, the Lovers card reversed, what this is saying is, yes, this is something about a relationship. So there's a situation that goes on, that is going on, and that either has been or will go on. And it has to do with this relationship. But in particular, it's something that it's requiring you to tap into the skills of your south node. Now, what are those skills? You have the gift of, a lot of times, patience. You have the gift of keeping things very straightforward and not complicating things in your life. There is a time and a place for complexity, but there's also a time and a place for simplicity. And just like sometimes it's just like all people need is just, you know, a hug and, you know, to hold their hand or something. You know what I mean? Sometimes life is complicated and it requires complex things. Okay, that's the Scorpio way, okay, or the 8th house way. And sometimes things are just more simple. It's like, you know, just let me have a warm beverage and a hug and, you know, something that, and just like, you know, someone to listen to me. And I feel like that's one of the things that is happening, where it's requiring you to tap into that part of yourself, and there's going to be like a gift there. So I feel like this is going to really come into play. Now, the Judgment card here, this is about hearing something, about realizing something that is being told. And I feel like you have in this relationship in your life, you have something to offer that they need to hear. That something that, you know, they um that they need to they need to feel in a way. It's like something they need to experience. And I feel like it's something very like simple, even if the situation is difficult, like maybe there is a conflict, okay, but something that you do or say that taps into your gifts of just a beautiful stable Taurus energy, simplicity, um perseverance and patience. Something in there is going to help this situation in a very good way, but it's something that they need to hear and experience, and this is like a skill building opportunity for you to realize that, hey, I do have gifts in my South Node. There are things that I can bring to the table, and you're going to realize that afterwards. Now, where it's going here is you've got the Hierophant, and this is an interesting card because this card has many meanings. It's like, it could be, philosophy, it could be spirituality, religion, it could be learning. And I feel like it's more toward the learning aspect of this. So I feel like whatever the situation is in the second half of May, I feel like both people are going to learn something from it. Like you're going to learn and have a deeper understanding, because that's one of the things about this card too, is it's about a deeper understanding too. And you're going to have a deeper understanding of the relationship of each other, where each other are coming from, type of a thing. And I feel like you are the key or the catalyst that can help do this. And it's, as I said, tapping into those gifts of your South Node. And so, yeah, like this learning is so important, because I think we've all experienced that in life, where we've had some sort of a situation in a relationship, whatever that relationship may be, where we learn something new, like something that takes it to a deeper level, something that, we kind of thought, oh, well, I know everything about this person or this relationship or this situation. And then something else new comes. And so that's one of the things that this is showing, is it's showing like deeper or higher learning in this situation. Now, your advice cards are interesting. You've got the Nine of Cups upright, and you've got the Ace of Cups. And the reason I was so positive in this reading, one of the reasons is because of these two cards here, that the advice is that, the Nine of Cups is what they call traditionally the wish card. It's the emotional wish card. And I feel like this situation can really level up not only your life, but this situation. I feel like it could really help it evolve to the next level, like get you to a place emotionally that you didn't really experience before. So really, really powerful. And then with this Ace of Cups, it's almost like, this is a renewal. So when I see the Ace of Cups, one of the meanings is because it's referring to like the Holy Grail, and we have the five, fountains coming out of the cup, which is like the human heart. It's like this, like a rebirth of your emotional self, and also with this other person in this situation. It's like this rebirth is possible. Now, does that mean that every person going through this is going to navigate it this way and, be able to? No. The thing about it is, the key is keep things simple and not complex, and realize that sometimes beyond a whole slew of words, sometimes it's just a hug, I love you, I'm sorry, from both people. And maybe, it's simple things like that is going to like help this situation. That's what I'm saying. So it doesn't mean that it's going to happen for everybody, but I think that the opportunity there is to have this at the end of it, this emotional renewal. But whatever happens, I feel like you're going to be in a better place yourself personally, because I feel like you're all going to learn something from this. And yeah, it really has the opportunity to kind of like level you up on your path. So yeah, very, very positive and powerful reading for the second half of May. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like to show the channel some love, there's some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Sagittarius and or the 9th house. Okay, interesting. So the theme card that popped out for you is the Hanged Man reversed. And when I saw this card, I was thinking that there's a situation the second half of May that's going to happen that is like you've been feeling like in this situation that your hands are tied behind your back, like you couldn't take action for some reason, even though you kind of knew what the problem was. But we've all experienced that, where there's a situation where we see an issue, but we can't really take action for whatever reason it is. We can't, because it has to do with, a boss or a loved one, or some other situation in our life that we feel like our hands are tied. I feel like that in the second half of May, you're going to be able to take action in some way in a situation that you weren't previously able to take action or felt like you couldn't take action. Now, for a lot of you, it's going to be a work situation, career, or something that you're doing on a regular day-to-day basis, even if you're, a stay-at-home parent. So let's get some clarity here. On the timeline cards, you've got the Page of Cups upright. You've got the 8 of Pentacles upright, and you've got the Queen of Cups reversed. Okay, so the reason I said work is because I feel like this is something where this 8 of Pentacles is something, for a lot of you, it's work or career, or something that you're doing on a regular basis. So even if you're retired or you're not working right now, what do you do on a regular basis? There's things that you have to do, like maybe you volunteer somewhere, maybe you are looking for work, maybe, whatever it is, or if, as I said, if you're just, living at home, you still have to like do laundry and clean and all, whatever it is you're doing, right? So that's what can encompass work. But for most of you, it's probably going to have to do with like work or career. And so the situation is, you felt like, you've been feeling like your hands are tied, or because you didn't know what action to take, or if you could take action. And I feel like that's changing. The reason it's changing is have to do with this Page of Cups. I feel like that there's it's almost like this breath of fresh air, where like you're finally seeing an angle of what to do. It's like there was confusion before, and you're seeing a way forward. Emotionally, it's going to kind of come to you, and it's like this card has the feeling of like very refreshing emotionally. Like when we finally have this clarity, not only in our mind, it goes into our emotional body too. And it just feels like, oh, now I know what to do. I know what action to take. And there could have been some confusion, because one of the things about your North Node is with that Gemini South Node or third house, there could be confusion because, you see multiple ways you could go. And that could cause this kind of, I don't know what to do, because I can do this, I can do that, I can do this, I can do that, right? But when you finally get the clarity of, oh, okay, now I know what direction to take, it's like this, it's going to free you up emotionally. I just feel this kind of refreshing energy. Now, the situation, I feel like, has to do with something where, this Queen of Cups here. I feel like that this is referring to, the court cards, as they're called, the King, Queen, Knights, and Pages, can be actual people in a reading in our life, or they can be energies. But I feel like this is referring to an actual person. Now, as I always say, the Queen card doesn't necessarily mean, female, okay? The court cards are non-sex or gender specific. So they're just different flavors and angles of a similar energy. So I feel like this is referring to a queen, and I feel like there's been some things that were like heavy emotional situations that went on and something you do in your work or everyday life, okay? And there was like this emotional component. It could be someone like almost like in a way like mistreating or like emotional abuse in some cases, but just, or you know, like playing with people's emotions like in a not a good way, okay? So I felt like the situation is you're dealing with a person, or for some people multiple people in the situation where there's this component of not being above board emotionally, and it's very like kind of sticky, and that was causing some of the issues here. But I feel like there's going to be some clarity in that. And I feel like with this page too, even though this is talking about this emotional renewal, I feel like there's going to be a person that comes in that helps the situation. So with this page here, it's like this a different party comes into the situation and adds something to it that is helping clear it up. So like, let's just use a crazy, you know, a non-work example, traditional work example. Let's say it's something where, you know, you're taking care of a household and there's some situations where there's someone who doesn't like the way you're taking care of your work, right? And there's some, you know, maybe things that are not said that are nice, or things that are emotionally kind of abusive in a way. And I feel like there's another party that comes in that adds something that helps bring clarity to the situation, maybe sets that person straight. So this can happen. I feel like this energy could be in a traditional work situation too, but this third party energy is something that's very important, and it adds this clarity and giving you the idea of, okay, now I know what direction to take. But yeah, this seems like a very kind of not a great emotional situation, until this person kind of steps in to add clarity. Now your advice cards are this: you've got the Magician card reversed, and you've got the Ace of Pentacles. Okay, the theme for these two cards is, the thing that popped into my mind was, keep your eyes on the prize. Keep your eyes on the prize. Because what can happen here is, as this situation is unfolding, and when this third party kind of comes in and is adding something, okay, now this could even be in a text or a phone call or whatever it is, I feel like this person, it could go into a situation of, like the Magician reversed is like a trickster, or in an emotional trickster, or like a manipulator type energy type thing. And you don't want to get sucked into that, because the keeping your eye on your prize is realizing, wait, what do I need to do here for me? Like, this is the energy here is saying, like, you have to separate yourself emotionally and mentally from this situation, and just treat it like business. I'll give you an example. I think a lot of us have had this experience sometime in our life, whether it's in school, university, or a job or career, right? Where we get into a situation and maybe we get too familiar with somebody, right? And we find out that, you know, maybe they're bad mouthing us, or there's something happens, and then all of a sudden they turn, you know, from a friend to an enemy or something, right? And then what do we say a lot of times? We say, well, I'm just going to be all business. I'm going to be all business. That's it. I'm going to go, you know, that's keeping your eye on the prize. That's the kind of energy I'm seeing. The advice for you is, don't get sucked into it. Just say, like, just be all business. The prize is, you do your job. You do what you need to do to protect what you do, and back away, but don't get sucked into that. Okay. And so really what's going on here is the real lesson for you in all of this, because, you know, a lot of times the stuff we go through are really just like little like training seminars that we go through in order to find our path. The real training for you here, and the learning lesson, is to figure out a way forward in a sticky situation, then taking action, and then not letting yourself be diverted from your truth and your path. Okay, that's North Node in Sagittarius, or the ninth house, right? Not being diverted. And that's what can happen a lot of times, is when people have this North Node, it's almost like the universe tests you, like, oh, what about this over here? What about this over here? What about this situation? And so this person, you don't want to allow them to knock you off your path, right? So keep the eyes on the prize, which is you do your work. You're here to do whatever you need to do, and it's going to pay off for you. That's the big thing about the Ace of Pentacles. It's going to pay off for you in some way, whatever this situation is. No matter what capacity your work is, it's going to pay off for you if you don't allow it to kind of suck you in and take you off path. Anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Capricorn and or the 10th house. Okay, yeah, really interesting. So the theme card that popped out for you is the Queen of Cups upright. And the interesting thing about this is that I think that this card is referring to your South Node. And I've been seeing this a lot lately where like there's this skill building going on with people's South Nodes where they're able to incorporate the gifts of their South Node into their life while they're pursuing their North Node. Because, normally a lot of times what happens with our South Node is it reflects the more negative side of that zodiac sign or house. But in this case, there are gifts there and that there's occasion where we need to tap into them. So what are some of the gifts you have? If you have a North Node in Capricorn and or, the 10th house, you have the gifts of emotional intelligence, being comfortable with emotions, intuition, being able to go deep within the emotional realm and the heart. All of those things are really of value. And even though you're here to do Capricorn or the 10th house, sometimes those skills that you have to come into play. And I feel like that's the situation that's happening here, where you need to bring this into your life in some way. Now, how I think it's going to play out is, we'll look at your timeline card. So you've got the Death card upright. You've got the Hierophant, the High Priestess reversed. You've got the Page of Cups upright. So I'll get into the Death card first. So like I always explain, the so-called scary cards aren't really scary or anything to fear. I recently had a comment where someone said like, well, when does the Death card mean actual death? Well, it doesn't. Just like, the Devil card doesn't mean the actual devil or a demon, right? Or the Tower doesn't mean you're going to be in a building and it's going to fall down. These are archetypes, and these are energies that are here to explain greater things than just one thing. Okay, so what the Death card is, it's about transformation. Okay, I feel like a lot of you have done this great work where life has pushed you more out of your comfort zone after all the time, like just completely pulling. It could feel like with this North Node that constantly through your whole life the rug is being pulled out from under you. Just when you get in a comfortable place, like the rug is pulled out. That's what I hear from a lot of people that have this North Node, that are clients. And so it can be very frustrating a lot of times. And I feel like a lot of you are really you've made these transformations where you've said, okay, I'm willing to step out of my comfort zone. I'm willing to do what I need to do. And I feel like there's something to where in this second half of May, there's a person in your life who you are going to be able to help in some way from all of your experiences. Okay. And that's what I'm seeing with this High Priestess reversed. That I feel like this person is a person who might be a water sign, so Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, that type of an energy, but someone who is highly emotional, highly intuitive, but hasn't been able to fully step into their power. Now, they may be male or female or any sex or gender, okay? But the High Priestess is about taking those gifts, which we look at, we can look at the two sides of life. We have, sun, moon energy. We have yang, yin energy. Okay, so the high priestess would be the yin energy. And this is something to where I feel like you're going to be able to help this person. This is a time where, they're going to need something. They're going to need emotional support, and you're there for them. And you're going to see that there is value in having these emotional gifts that you have. It's not always about every single day, week, month, year, going for the Capricorn side and going for that 10th house side. There's times when you're going to be called to bring those gifts up. And this is one of those times, I know. And I feel like this person is someone who is trying to step in their power. They don't even know that they're not stepping into their power, but it's something that you're going to recognize intuitively. And what's happening here is there could be anything from like new friendships starting, or relationships in some way. For each of you it'll be different, so like a new friendship, relationship, something to that effect. But in any case, it's like this emotional renewal for you. This is like a reward for the hard work that you've been putting in, because as I said, if you have this north node, it's hard, because it could seem like so many times the rug's being pulled out from what you're doing to get out of your comfort zone. And this is like a heads up where it's saying like, no, you need to tap into these gifts that you have. And the gift for you is, while you're doing this, as you help this person step in, help them emotionally and step into their power, you are stepping into your power more. And you're realizing that, wow, okay, I can be strong and independent and, emotionally, tough, but at the same time, I can add that tenderness when I need to bring it into my life. It's like this enrichment of your life. It's like you don't need to pick right or left. You don't need to pick black or white. You can have both. And that's really what this is showing you. It's saying like you can have these gifts, tap into them, and then while you're still moving toward these areas of your life that are Capricorn and or the 10th house. Now, the advice cards are, you've got the King of Swords upright, and you've got the Ace of Wands. So I feel like that this King of Swords is referring to this person, the High Priestess. So I feel like this is what they need to evolve to, the High Priestess. And the King of Swords is saying that they could be coming from a place where they are kind of mentally and emotionally detached from their life. That's where you come in as this inspiration, where I feel like this person may be detached from their emotions, and they may be too much in their head type of thing. Maybe they think too much. Maybe they are all about like picking on the minutia of every sort of, kind of communication, where it's like sometimes it's just like, hey, just get into your heart, And so I feel like that's one of the challenges, is just like you are, as you're helping this person, you're stepping into your power. The other challenge is that this person can help trigger you to maybe knock you off your path, and where you might refuse to go back into your emotional self. Okay, for some of you that may be true. So as I said, even though that this is empowering, there could be something where this person could trigger you to be detached emotionally yourself, right? But I don't think most of you are going to do that. So all you have to remember in this is that as you're helping this situation or this person, don't let it trigger you into detaching emotionally, but go into it, and you're helping them step into their emotional power, and you will be empowered at the same time. Now, really, the whole key to this whole reading is you have this Ace of Wands here. Wands are about energy, and this is talking about energy and inspiration. So what's happening here is you are inspiring this person to help them in some way to connect to their personal power. And through this inspiration, you are gaining inspiration in your life. And that's why this is such a blessing, why this is something that is such a good thing for you right now. And this is a reward, because really what you're doing by using the skills that you already have and tapping into them, you are inspiring this person, but you're adding inspiration and energy into your life. And so really where I see it going again is this, Page of Cups, which is this kind of emotional renewal. But yeah, very, very positive, positive reading, and, really, really tap into it. And whoever this person is, realize that as you're helping them, you're helping yourself at the same time. So anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you would like your astrological chart analyzed, there's going to be a link to my website in the description box below. Or if you just want to show the channel some love, there's some links down below. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Aquarius and or the 11th house. Okay, interesting. So you've got the theme card here that is the Seven of Pentacles reversed. And what I feel like is that there's an area of your life that you've been waiting to see develop. Like there's some area in your life. For some of you, it could be like work, it could be finances. For others, it's just other things in your life that are of value that you've been kind of like waiting around, waiting to see what happens. With all these pentacles here, it could be like even multiple little areas of your life where you've been waiting and waiting. And I feel like now is kind of like the harvest time in some area or areas of your life where you can see some like movement forward, and the patience that you've shown is like paying off, where it's like, okay, I've waited and I've waited and I've waited, and now I see this opportunity. So it's about the second half of May is like moving forward and kind of seizing some sort of an opportunity somewhere in your life. And for a lot of you, it's going to be multiple areas of your life, okay? But I see this area of like freeing up. Now, one of the reasons this is happening is, we'll look at your timeline cards, is because of the good work you've been doing on your North Node path. Now, on your timeline, you've got the Queen of Swords upright, you've got the Chariot card upright, and you've got the Fool card upright. So this Queen of Swords is relating to the fact that this is like the higher self that you are learning to be. With your North Node in Aquarius or the 11th house, the Aquarius and the 11th house are ruled by the swords suit. And what does this mean? It means that you've been able to balance out, your emotional side with your more logical side. You've learned to refine your communication. You've learned to be able to detach emotionally from things, and like not, when something hits you emotionally, you don't get triggered by it right away. You're able to slightly detach and see things and give yourself like this distance and like think things through. And that's a huge benefit. This is one of the things, because my North Node is in the 11th house. And so it's something that I've had to learn too, where, you've learned to, you learn to like look at things like, okay, this is the way I feel about this, but let me like look deeper and let me examine this. Let me think it through. Let me see all the players involved. And then particularly one of the big skills is other people that are involved in your life. How do they think and feel about that situation? Taking other people's thoughts and feelings into consideration. And I feel like a lot of you have been doing that. You've been learning to do that, even though it's not easy, but you've been having the patience to allow that side of you to grow. And now a lot of you are going to start to see the payoff for that in some way and in different areas of your life. So you have the Chariot here, upright. This is about moving forward. And again, you see the Black Sphinx Sphinx and the White Sphinx, which is in regards to the polarities of life, the balancing of opposites. And this is about balancing parts of yourself. And when the Chariot's upright, it's positive because it's moving forward. You're moving forward in your life in a positive direction, and it's empowering. Now, the Fool card's interesting. It's one of the most misunderstood cards in the tarot deck because, when we hear the word fool, we call someone a fool. It's like a negative, right? But the Fool card is actually very positive. This is about new beginnings. It's like a childlike wonderment. It's like a refreshing thing. It's like when you come up with that idea that you have, or it's some new thought, or you get into a new job, it's like this new beginning type of a thing. And what you do when you do this is that even though you're not hung up on, okay, yes, there's always drawbacks in life, but it's wonderful sometimes to like approach life where you just feel more free. Like, I'm not going to worry about every little thing that can go wrong type of a thing. And so this is a positive thing. But again, what's happening when I see these cards is because of the work you've been putting in, I feel like for many of you, if not most of you, you're going to be moving forward into like new beginnings, and you're going to start to see things that are paying off. Now let's look at your advice cards. You've got the Two of Wands, and you've got the Three of Wands reversed. Interesting thing about this is that what you're learning to do is that most of you aren't projecting too far into the future. And that's what you're told not to do. You're told not to really look too far into the future, like, well, 20 years from now, I want to do this, or 10 years from now. But what you want to do is bring that closer to home with this Two of Wands here. And it's saying what you want to do is you want to personalize your dreams and goals. And that's where the gifts of your South Node in the 5th house and or Leo can come in. You want to personalize them. In other words, not just say like, oh, I want to have a business, within the next 5 to 10 years and make X amount of money. That's not really personalized. What you want to do is say, like, how is it you want to live? Like, what is it? Where do you want to live? How do you want to live? Who do you want to be near? Who do you want in your life? And that's what this is saying. This is personalizing your dreams. Like this person here on the Two of Wands is holding the world. What kind of world do you want to create? What kind of world do you want to be in? Your world. What I always say about this card is, we have two worlds that we live in, each of us, okay? We've got a collective world that we all share, okay? We all share that collective world. And then we also have a personal world. Each of us has our own little personal world of what we need and want and desire. And yes, they do overlap, but we have these two separate worlds. And so this is saying, like, really personalize it. As you're moving forward, make it personal. Make how you move forward and what you move toward is not just some like abstract goal that may seem positive, but it's not really personalized. But you want to like really personalize it. And I think a lot of you are going to start to do that. But really, I'm seeing this for some of the North nodes where this is like a harvest time for a lot of you are benefiting. Now, this can even be in really small ways. Like you might say like, well, my life didn't really change, dramatically or whatever. They could be subtle little changes. Like some area of your life could just show this improvement. That's huge. I mean, how many times in life do we, where areas of our life, take a new positive turn? So don't expect it. It doesn't necessarily mean for everybody it's going to be this grand thing. But if you look hard and you really analyze things, you're like, yeah, I'm seeing positive movement forward. And that's what I'm seeing here. And really it is this kind of like renewal, and you're moving in a positive direction. So yeah, good work for those of you that are really trying to master, that North Node in Aquarius and or the 11th house. And you're keeping the beautiful energy of your Leo South Node or your 5th house South Node. You'll always have that, but you're also moving toward the maturity of being able to detach yourself from your emotions and your thinking and your desires, and kind of going into the collective. Well, what does my company think? What does my family think? What does my lover think? What does my friend think? And you're becoming a partner with the world type of a thing. Okay. But still, you want to keep it personal, because you also want to see, like, as you're creating this world, where is it that you want to go? And that's where those gifts come in from your South Node. So anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd just like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some link in the description box below. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings. Okay, North Node in Pisces and or the 12th house. Okay, interesting. So the theme card that popped out for you is the Eight of Swords upright. And, this is for the second half of May. And what I feel like's happening is a lot of you have been feeling like, somewhat stuck in your life, particularly like mentally, not even so much emotionally, but just kind of like mentally stuck, like not like, just feeling like there's some sort of like stuck patterns, or, not knowing a way out mentally. And could be very, it could be very uncomfortable, because it's like, it's like maybe like a mental stagnation, okay, that you've been feeling. The positive thing, as I see in this reading, is I see this is lessening up. This is something that you're just going through. It's a transition. One of the reasons why this happens is it has to do with the nature of your South Node in Virgo and or the 6th house, because you have the natural ability to focus and hyper focus, which is it's a gift. Okay. It can be used in a very, very positive way. But remember, your South Node ruling planet is Mercury. So the planet of, communication, both external communication and internal communication, and also the, planet of like thinking and intellect, right? And so it can be one of the north nodes when you have Pisces, or the 12th house, where it could be one of the north nodes where it's easily to kind of get into a funk mentally, okay? And it's just one of these things that you're going through. But I feel like it's kind of, if you've been feeling that way, just slightly in a mental funk, and a lot of you, it could be confusing, because emotionally you might feel kind of good in a way, but it just seems like mental blocks, or like this mental kind of stagnation that's going on. And as I said, it's like freeing up, but it's just a phase that you're going through. Now on your timeline cards, you've got the Queen of Wands upright, you've got the Sun card upright, and you've got the Page of Cups reversed. So starting with the Queen of Wands, I feel like the second half of May here, this is about inspiration coming back into your life. And I feel like there's going to be a catalyst that is going to help this happen, because one of the things about the court cards being the king, queen, knight, and pages, those can be, general energies or situations, or they can refer to actual people. I feel like it's two things for you. I feel like this is referring to like new inspiration coming into your life, but I also feel like there's a person that is going to help be the catalyst of like bringing in new inspiration for you, that's going to help break you out of this mental like stagnation and funk that you may have been feeling. So there's new inspiration coming in, and I feel like there's going to be a person that is going to kind of help facilitate this for you, okay, in some way. And it could just be, it'll come in different ways for each of you, but it's something that is very, very positive that's going to come in. Now with the Sun card upright, again, this is about, a childlike renewal coming in, right? Where you can see, like, this is a card of optimism. This is a card of seeing things in a new light. It's like when you come out of after a stormy night, or many, many dark, cloudy days, and you see the sun shine coming out. Okay, it's that type of a feeling, and that's something that's going to happen as you graduate through this whole rest of the month of May. And so you're going to see this, really kind of like level you up. So new inspiration that's coming in. Now, with this Page of Cups reversed, what's really important is you want to take this and make sure that you take it to heart, and you not only take this new thinking that's coming in this inspiration, but allow yourself to take it to a new level of like emotional playfulness. Because what I mean by that is when we have a south node in Virgo and or the sixth house, what can happen is almost like when something good happens or you start to feel good, it's like all of a sudden then the whole like, Mercury Virgo thing kicks in, where it's like, oh, well, what if this happens? Or, well, I don't know if this is good, if this doesn't happen. Like, so it's this influx of energy and inspiration, but that can trigger that Virgo side, that mental capacity. So what this is saying with the Page of Cups is, don't let it trigger you mentally anymore, okay? You're going to get out of your mental funk, but what you want to do is you want to channel that inspiration into emotions, okay? And, you want this Page of Cups to be upright. You want to channel that into like emotional playfulness and like, hey, it's cool. It'll be all right. I don't have to overthink things. I don't got to overplan. I don't got to worry. Okay, all of that, because that's what can happen a lot of times when we get this, you get a positive charge of energy, and all of a sudden, oh, you go back into like it activates those like Mercury, mental things. You don't want it to do that. You want it to activate that emotional, playful side and like play with the energy, go with it. Like, don't worry about things. Like don't put energy toward those things that are keeping you worrying. Okay, because what can happen is you could start to trigger, and then you could get back into that kind of mental funk. Okay, now the other thing on your advice cards that's interesting is, you've got the Judgment card upright, and you've got the Four of Wands reversed. Now, the Four of Wands is a card of celebration. It's a card of stability, but it does mean a lot of times about like celebration. So it could be anything from like weddings, other celebrations, anniversaries, and all of that. Okay. So what this is saying is that I feel like at some sort of a function like this within the month of May, so it could be a gathering, even could be a work gathering, okay, some sort of a gathering, a wedding, a celebration, a bar mitzvah, whatever the case may be. The Judgment card is saying to pay attention to things that are being said, pay attention to messages, because I feel like from now through the month of May, there are going to be certain messages that are going to come in that are going to give you information. Because the Judgment card here, you could see that this is like, the archangel is blowing their horn and these people are waking up. So there's something that you need to hear and realize. So I want you to pay attention to all your conversations, everything you hear, everything you overhear, all your dreams. Pay attention to even like watching things on a movie or, on TV or whatever it is. Pay attention to messages that are coming in, okay? Because that's one of the gifts that you have with your North Node in Pisces, and or the 12th house, is the gift of intuition. And so that's something that has been happening more and more. So you want to take information that you're getting, some sort of messages that come in from whatever area they come in. And I feel like it's tied to this, some sort of a gathering or something that you want to pay attention to. It's very, very important that you pay attention to this. And also what this is saying is, listen to those messages and listen to your your intuition. Don't talk yourself out of it. Be paying attention, because it has something that can have a very positive effect on your life. So pay attention and follow your instincts and your intuition, because they'll always take you to a good place. Okay. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope this reading was helpful to you. If you'd like a personal tarot reading based on your astrological chart, or if you'd like to show the channel some love, there's going to be some links in the description box below. With that, I'll say thank you. We'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings.